Well, have you got anything for us to do? Okay.
We got a new bid on the sound system
That's nice.
because he forgot to,
Oh, no.
he overlooked two critical
Yes.
charges, labor and bulk cables and connectors.
I thought the answer was,
We asked that question.
Well,
And they also overlooked the sales tax.
we don't pay sales tax.
I know, but it was
I explained
included.
that to him.
Yeah, but it was also included in that price, was the sales tax. That's why the discrepancy appeared. If we,
That was sales tax?
yeah,
Anyway, it's a
so we have to,
600 more bucks from what it was.
I'm surprised you make a bid without.
well, I know. And it took two
Wasn't
days.
there a difference in the
It,
first bid? Wasn't there a difference in the parts added
Yes.
up? What difference was that?
Well, it was a sales tax.
Evidently.
Talking
They
about
did-
just trade sales tax for the labor.
He didn't have sales tax down here, so that bid's probably not right. If he has sales tax added in,
Well, did you run the,
no, I didn't.
let's run the numbers. Because there was this discrepancy between the total of the itemized equipment and the total.
Right.
And I said, what, and he said, well, that's sales tax.
I didn't have
He
sales
didn't
tax
have
down there,
the
but
set.
sales.
And I said, we don't pay sales tax, so. Of course, it only took 2 days to get an answer.
So should we,
Let's wait.
let's wait.
And we'll add it up for you.
Well,
I'm
not sure. Make him give me a write-up. I have a letter that Joe wrote to the city of St. John regarding the,
Sales tax? I
the,
mean, the sales,
the,
probably tax.
yeah, but those specials, that, he just wanted me to give that to him. That's all I have.
From talking to the few city council people that I have about this, I think they're on board with.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's sending those to each one of those individually. So,
Is he doing that for Stafford as well?
Yes.
I think so.
He faxed them over.
Did he?
And so the council members over there each have a copy.
Have you talked to them, Clayton, to see what they feel about this issue?
Well, the two council members I talked to, that they wanted to forgive the liens, you know.
Hopefully everybody will come on board and we'll get it cleaned up.
So,
Much effort as this seems to take. It's nice to get it done properly.
And as Maxwell finalized theirs, are they for sure going to?
Maxwell's, I think, on board, I mean, on a certain few properties, they're gonna buy back and pay these taxes on.
You're actually gonna buy some property.
The city is, and then they have buyers for it.
Well, the one lot with the $28,000 lien against it's right against their city building.
Yeah. Hopefully.
yeah, I think Radium and Seward as well.
Honestly, don't know.
Radium and sewer typically don't assess special assessments.
I thought there was a couple.
There might be a couple,
No, it
but,
charges, but they only have one property apiece, I think.
yeah, they don't have the problem. So there's-
So it started putting away charges.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever assessed any special assessments for radium or sewer. Since I've been here, there might be some old.
I wouldn't know why there would be.
They typically don't.
Anything else? Let's recess.
actually brought Davin along. Davin is the techno guy on this. We worked on the timesheet issue, so we could kind of come up with a better way of doing that, so we didn't have some of the difficulties is like, well, one of them is just going around and picking them up out of boxes and to put more responsibility back on the station chiefs, or the crew captains, but yet give them as much tools and access to a system that, you know, that they wouldn't have to haul them around either. So what we come up with, and I'll let Davin show it here on the iPad, but what the station, the crew captains will have to do is that they'll transfer the data, which is being done by Missy now. They'll transfer the data from the timesheet over to electronic form. The electronic form will then pass this over to a summation page, and that summation page will be what we transfer over to Missy. And I brought this up even to the techs and when I was talking about, because I was going to have them enter their own data on the internet, and some looked at me a little bit odd. And so we kind of realized that wasn't going to work for everybody, and it really needs to work for everybody. So the station crew captains are getting paid extra to do extra duties. So the individuals will do the exact thing that they're doing now. Their things will not change any at all, but the crew captains will be responsible for transferring the data over, and then it'll total on this page here, which will then be passed in. So what we won't have to do is we won't have to haul these, pick them up out of the boxes and haul them up here and then transfer them over here, and I think just that in general will speed the process up to where we're not, and we'll still get the signatures, so we'll still have that, and everything will be pretty much, it'll look the same, but it'll be different. You want to kind of show them, just kind of jot that through?
This is the timesheet that I built. It's basically the same thing that we have already. It's just online. All the zeros will go in and replace with all the dates so that there's no confusion as far as when the payroll starts and when it ends. Once we put them into the sheets, it'll automatically calculate into all the other ones, so they don't have to worry about making mistakes. As you put the numbers in, as the crew captain goes through and puts all the times and everything in, it'll automatically calculate down here in the box, and that's what transfers over to that sheet there. So it's all, there's one for each person that they can just go through and check on. Once you fill those in, and the total sheet, like you have there, is also right there on Dropbox. So, and it automatically all calculates in. There's no, I've got all the formulas set up to where it's all automatic. It's not done manually, it's all done by the, right.
Dropbox is an online file system. So anybody that we give access, which would be the crew captains, would have access to that, and likewise so would we. So we've got all our policies on there. We've got this will be on there. So some people can see it. All the people can see it that we've given, others that we've given access to can see it, but they can't modify it.
Once the sheets are signed, they'll be saved back in and saved as a PDF file, which is non-alterable. So we don't have to worry about people getting in, even if they have access and changing things. They'll also, since this is network, if one of our computers were to go down, we can still have access to it because it's not saved on the computer. It will be backed up on Steve's computer, though. We'll have a second additional copy on Steve's computer.
Kind of clarify that just a little bit. They'll sign a timesheet just like they do now, but we'll have a crew meeting, which I've consolidated into one now instead of three. And when the technicians come in for that meeting, they'll sign the electronic one, which is a transparency of the one that they turned in. And that way we don't have one that's been all crumpled up and stuffed in a box to say we'll have actual Ones that haven't been carried around in a car and stuffed into a box, they'll actually be, and they'll have ones that you can read. Sometimes you can't read them too well. So, I mean, I understand, the problems of, it just caused a problem, and if you look at, this is kind of the summation of the issue that we dealt with. It's a mess. I mean, to try to calculate all them different things that are calculated. So this will do it electronically, and the only chance of error here is the transfer of data from the hard copy to electronic copy. And now, we're even going a step further than what we have. They will actually sign that electronic copy saying that it was transferred correctly. And so if they want to check it at the crew meeting before they sign it, which I would encourage that they do so, they can do that. But they'll have already signed the hard copy that was used to transfer that data over, but now they'll sign it and say that, yes, that was indeed how it was transferred over also.
So what you're doing is making the crew chiefs responsible for these, basically?
Yes.
And they're the check in the system that's to make sure that whoever's doing is not making a mistake or doing something wrong,
Yes,
whether it's purposeful or not.
yes.
You have a crew chief who is saying, no, you work these hours, not these hours, or you wrote this down incorrectly.
Yes, and also we have a calendar system, the on-call calendar system also on now. So everybody that's on call is actually, they can pull up and they can see everybody that's on call for the day. Likewise, so can I. And I can look at that, and it changes, some when a tech isn't maybe able to work a day, but it certainly allows me to look and see if there's any very odd discrepancy between who was signed up to be on call and who actually worked the call. Okay. Devin did a great job on that. Very good job.
And the confusion about filling out the form, where you had 2 days in the same month of the same day, which I still never quite understood.
What they were doing was
Eliminated
they were jumping ahead and trying to get it filled out ahead of time so they could get them in. And this should help alleviate that, because there's not going to be as much of a, they'll be doing it on their end. And so they'll still need to get the things turned in, but basically they can fill this out prior to even, if they kept track, they could be filling it in as it goes, as the month goes. And they wouldn't be pressed to get it all turned in, so I can get it turned in, so Missy can get us paid.
So this is a summation of St. John, and you have a summation for Maxville
Yes.
and Stafford?
Oh.
Steve, that Dropbox service, what does that cost? Or-
Nothing.
No, it's nothing, okay.
No, it's free. We don't utilize enough memory power to have to pay anything.
And that's something you found online somewhere? Okay.
This is what we presently do with fire already. We just issue a summation paid, and that's calculated off of our fire reporting software. And it doesn't give it exact like this, but it gives the same thing, basically a summation page.
How do they assign the summation page after they turn in their own hard, hard copy of their timing sheet?
We'll actually print out a duplicate of that in electronic fashion and have it ready for the crew meeting. And when they come to the crew meeting, when they sign in for the crew meeting, they'll sign their timesheet that mirrors what they turned
So
in.
they go to each community, they sign it at their meeting, and but they don't make it to the meeting.
Then they'll have to sign it at the
That's
next
not
meeting. But we'll have their hard copy. But we'll still have
They
their
already copy, and they sign it when they turn it.
and they've signed that already, so it's just an easier way to get a,
Like your year end, are you gonna have a check route system from a hard copy to electronic copy, just to double check? I mean,
Well-
so we're not surprised.
yeah, well, I don't think that I really don't think that we're gonna have a problem with that. What I'd more likely do is check them as they're going along, just to make sure that everything looks like it's even par. So, any other questions on that?
Sounds good.
You go, well, yeah, you can say it, go where you want to do that. It's becoming, this is the time for recertification at the end of the year. Which I don't know. I wasn't sure just exactly how recertification was around the state. I know what I've been used to from working in 2 other places. And I knew that we didn't pay for recertification. And this is for EMTs. So with it coming up here now about the folks are getting ready to recertify, it's $22.50, I believe. 22 or 30? For EMTs. And they do that every 2 years. So we have about half and half every year. But I did a little research, just put it out on a listserv to see what other communities do in regards to that. This is all that I got back, and I didn't actually go into a calling mode and call others. I did on Pratt and Great Bend because they didn't respond back, and I wanted to know at least the ones that covered our circumference. But I didn't get on the phone and call, of course, all the whole state. But you can see by the ones that I listed that the ones that surround us do actually cover that recertification fee.
How many are we talking about?
I think we're around 26 people, but that's about 13 per year. Because, I'm just guessing, but it could be more than that in 1 year and then less in the next. But they go every 2 years, so whenever they hit for recertification.
250, 275 is come up with the government too.
Yeah, I was thinking around probably $600, $700 for the total.
Yeah, so half of it, about
$350. Yeah.
75,
$350.
Around that, yeah. So I don't know if you want to think about that. My recommendation would be to cover the fee. Our volunteer rates have kind of suffered over, we're getting it built back up, but we rely on it quite a bit.
Yeah, well, kind of hard to replace with these volunteers. It's already certified to be EMS anyhow, right? There's some training to get that done.
And it kind of ensures it gets done. Although, we require that card anyhow, but it kind of presses the issue a little bit. The one thing, actually the thing that brought this up is the state this year passed a deal where they will allow agencies to pay for it. Whereas before you had to reimburse the individual. But now they passed a thing where they, and I assume that that's because most agencies are paying for it, and so it just became a much easier thing to, seems sense, I'm sure, from the state perspective to, just to collect a check for some of these bigger agencies that have 100 employees instead of having to have that particular agency have to cut 100 checks.
Individual checks.
Yeah.
So it looks like Ellis County, but they're not, but
They're full-time.
full-time, they don't pay.
They don't.
It's just pretty much anybody, the volunteers.
No, it actually is the majority of all of them paid in volunteer, but there's some that don't. And, I can, from a paid standpoint, I can understand both ways. EMS typically does pay, but nursing doesn't, so go figure.
Do you need a motion?
If you're wanting to think about it, or if you're wanting to, if you think that you already know what you
I don't think it's
want
such
to
a
do.
big issue that, I think it'd be encourage them to stay up current and keep the ones we got. Like I said, it takes some time to get all the classes and stuff. How many weeks of class you have to go through, just get there. You know?
Right.
And the time involved teaching and everything, we try to encourage keeping them there. I think
The one thing that I've actually been, we'll cover some of the training, but I'm pretty picky on how much training we would cover cost-wise for somebody, because it's just pretty expensive, and you're spending a pretty good sum for one individual if say they wanted to go to Wichita or Hutchinson. It's pretty tough to say, well, we'll spend $150, $200 on you for this year to get your training. We subscribe to an online recertification training program called CentralLearn, which is pretty reasonable, and it allows them to supplement their hours, and they could actually get all their hours if they wanted to, but it does allow them to supplement them, and so they can get recertified without having to go to Hutch or Wichita or whatever, Great Bend or Hayes. And so being that I'm pretty conservative in regards to paying for training outside the county, I think this would be probably the thing to do, is to cover the recertification fee, and to be a little more conservative on the end of supplemental education that they'd want, and that they could pay for that themselves, and not necessarily recertification.
So you,
I would recommend.
22, you
Well-
say 2250 or 3250?
I thought it was, I thought I wrote it down, but I didn't. It's either one or the other. If you could just make a motion for the county to pay for recertification fees, I'd probably cover it, and whatever it is, and we'll pay for it.
it doesn't say that. I mean,
It doesn't exceed $32. It does for permit. That's the other question also that I need you to ask too, is that whether you want to pay for the paid people, whether you want to treat them differently, or whether you want to include them. You have 4 paid people, whether you want to exclude them or whether you want to include them. And paramedic level is more than EMT level.
That's a good question.
You don't know what it is.
Won't you go call? Go out and call Misty and see what the fee is. For both, Davin.
yeah.
And this would amount to how much a year, you think, roughly?
I think it around $375, $350, $375.
Come out of your budget?
It depends, yes. It depends upon how many go in each year.
So you're saying it's $32, not 22. I'm figuring $22 would be.
I actually think it was 22, but we'll find out here in a moment. And I can come back next week and have the exact data for you. Paramedic and everything. I only have one other thing, and we could come back to this afterwards if you, why don't I bounce over to that? And I'm only going to need about 5 minutes for an executive session to talk about non-elected personnel, and I'd like to include the commissioner election.
Okay, I make a motion to go to executive session for 5 minutes, you say?
Yes, that's all it's going to take.
For all elected personnel.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded to go into executive session. Excuse me, for 5 minutes for non-elected personnel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do you guys want to consider this, or do you want to,
I can come back next week if you want to think about it.
we'll make the motion?
What was those numbers again?
The 32, I think it's 3250, and then 53 to 54. I'm not sure whether it's one or the other. I don't know.
You've got 3 paramedics.
We have 3 paramedics, and then, right off the top of my head, I don't know what our exact count is on the EMTs, but it's under 30. So
I think you counted 26.
20.
20
Or 24.
25.
Oh,
on this list,
yeah, well, we got some new ones
on this here.
that's coming on here pretty quickly, so. this is St. John, we've got 3 that's coming on, so they're not included in here. So it's
So you
around.
have right at 30
30,
probably.
Yeah. Right about 30. So you're looking at more like $400 to $450
A year.
Yes.
Here.
If they all were certified,
No, that would be, so you're looking at probably about that per year,
okay.
with half and half.
I don't have any problem with it.
It's a small reward for what they do for their.
I'll make the motion, we go ahead and pay the recertification fees for the EMTs and paramedics.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, we pay the recertification fees for the EMTs and the paramedics. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you. The only last thing, I'll be out of state, out of town, Friday, Saturday, and be back Sunday, a wedding in Texas. So, Texas. Brothers. Oh, brother's daughter. Have a good week. Thank you.
Steve.
Have a good week.
Lisa out there?
She
Yeah.
was.
She was.
Not now. Not now.
She was. Well, let's recess.
I have a step increase for Alicia, going from range 4, step 2, to range 4, step 3, effective November 1st. This is her regular yearly step raise.
Pronounce it Alicia? Is it an A or how do you say it?
It's an E.
I know.
Alicia.
Say
Alicia.
Alicia?
It kind of comes out like an A sometimes.
Yeah. I guess I've been saying it.
Yeah, she would.
Especially if we're giving her a pay raise, right?
Yeah.
That's me.
But she does a good job. She's detail oriented, which is just, that's what you gotta be in the treasurer's office. And she's
Last name Dehan?
Dehon.
Dehan.
She does real good.
Okay, I make a motion we increase Alicia Dehan from range 4, step 2 to range 4, step 3, effective November 1st.
I second it.
Been moved and seconded, we approve Alicia D. Holmes' step increase. All in favor, say aye.
That's all I have. Can you give me a copy of that later? Thank you.
Did you get your internet done? Did I get your internet done?
Anybody
No,
else out
the
there?
internet's not done yet. The piece of equipment they need for downstairs, it's not in yet. But they have the line ran, so I think we're just waiting on that piece of equipment. And then Randy will need to come and do all his stuff.
Did he ever get back with you or anybody about, what was the question we had for him? I can't remember exactly. Oh, going to the annex.
Yeah.
He's still working on it,
thinking on it.
but no, he hasn't come up with any
I
prices.
think he's waiting until we get it here in this building and then he'll.
Yeah.
Maybe give him back with a plan or
Yeah.
something.
He did ask if there was a big hurry on it, and we said, no,
We
not at
told
this
him no.
point. Our
No.
first focus was this,
Yeah, they were-
yeah, so
Okay.
I don't think he's still working on it, but I don't think he's in a big hurry on it. But
Okay. Thank you. Just recess. What you got? Gentlemen,
I'm done.
let's adjourn.